Thanks for staying with BERNAMA TV. I'm Jessie Chahal and you're watching The World. Today is World Persons with Disabilities Day, and a reminder that inclusion is not charity, it is a right. This year's international theme is Fostering Disability, Inclusive Societies for Advancing Social Progress, and Malaysia's theme, Inclusive PWD Society, Key to Social Progress. Both send one clear message: real progress begins when no one is left behind. Well, joining me today is Mr. SILATUL RAHIM DAHMAN, the Regional President of the International Council for Education of People with Visual Impairment for East Asia. And he's here to share some global insights and the Malaysian perspective on building a truly inclusive society. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me in the show, and it's my great pleasure to be here and to see you again. Today.
Definitely excited to speak about a little bit on what the council is doing, but very importantly as well, as we observe and really give our full focus to the World Persons with Disabilities Day. When we talk about disability inclusive societies, how do we make sense of what that truly looks like in practice? A lot of times we see it on paper, we see it as a slogan here and there, but how do we converse and convert this into actionable items?
Good question. Yeah, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me here. I'm very happy to be here. ICEVI, or International Council for Education of People with Visual Impairment, is an international organization promoting accessible information, accessible education to the blind and low vision people throughout the world. So I'm leading the East Asia region since November 2024. We believe that inclusion matters because it is a basic human right for everybody, including the blind, to have proper education, quality education, formal education. Therefore, for this year, we are launching a global Braille campaign to promote Braille among the blind and low vision people worldwide. I think if we go to icevi.org, you can get to the page where the campaign is really explained, and you can also participate in the campaign by clicking on the link. Coming back to your question, what is the reality out there for many PWDs? PWD stands for people with disabilities, or in Malaysia we call it OKU, orang kurang upaya, orang kelainan upaya. Hopefully one day nobody says orang ketiadaan upaya.
But I would just want to pause you there and say, what is the right term for us to understand the proper term that needs to be used? Because as I also see this, there are a few different schools of thought as to what is the right term to be used.
I became blind since 1973 when I was 5 years old. I'm now 57, so I've been blind for the past 52 years. So throughout the 52 years of my blindness, I have heard many terminologies. It starts with orang cacat or disabled people. Then at some point I heard I was labeled as orang istimewa. What do you get? Special people?
Special.
Orang istimewa or insan istimewa. Then after a while, I think it was maybe 30 years ago, there was a new term given to us, orang kurang upaya, OKU. Then, in between, people start calling us orang kurang upaya, orang insan istimewa, things like that. So, but I think, let's think with the international terminology, that is PWDs, person with disabilities. So I think in our context, we can stick to orang kurang upaya, yeah. Though different people would have different argument. Why I am kurang than you.
Absolutely, because a physical disability, perhaps in this context, may not mean any other sort of disability. And I direct this conversation because of the word inclusiveness. We talk about that, and sometimes it seems like an overused word. But I come back to the question I posted earlier to you about what truly
means.
Does that mean when we say inclusiveness, and how do we take that beyond just words into practice?
Yeah. As I said, inclusive matters because we exist just like any other human beings in the country. We are Malaysian citizens, we have full rights, and we should be given a fair opportunities to fully participate in the society. But in reality, I guess we need to improve on the entire ecosystem, for example, when the education system could be inclusive, because the school have all kind of infrastructures, facilities, maybe teachers are well trained, but how do the students with disabilities go to school? Is it safe for them to go on public transport? I think we heard about 1 or 2 years ago a blind man fell off the platform at one of the LRT stations and passed away. And after that, I heard the safety features at the stations will be improved. So what I'm saying is we need to develop a system that is fully inclusive, not just inclusive. Another best example would be when the wheelchair has been provided with the accessible toilet, or the so-called wheelchair toilet. Some people call it disabled toilet.
Right.
Sometimes the toilet is fully accessible, but to go to the toilet, to get to the toilet from where they are, is not accessible.
So there are flaws in the accessibility.
Right. There is a gap.
And from a design approach as well.
Right.
The many elements that come into play here, and we've spoken before as well. And you've always been an advocate for raising more awareness and education within the rights of the basic rights of PWDs. But from your perspective, beyond here in Malaysia, which countries are making the most progress today in terms of the inclusiveness that we've just spoken about, and having better structure and programs to really ensure that everyone, or rather no one, gets left behind?
To be fair and to be honest, there is no country that has a fully accessible and fully inclusive for everyone. But this is something that we have to be proud of. Malaysia is one of the most livable countries, at least in this region. Throughout my personal experience.
Right.
I've been working in like 16 countries. If I don't miscount, and I still choose to work and live in Malaysia.
Wonderful.
In Malaysia. I think it is time that we advocate for a better policies that is implementable policies. No doubt we have good akta, akta orang kurang upaya, good policies, good slogans, as you said earlier on. But are they implementable? I'll give you another example. 1% of the job opportunities in the public sectors is reserved for the disabled. Has that been fully filled up? Maybe yes, maybe no. If yes, well and good. If no, why? Yeah, what hinders us? What is stopping us from employing more PWDs to work in the public sector?
What would you say is the misconception about employing people with PWDs? I understand that scale also ranges, but from the outset, what is some misconceptions that you've heard or perhaps even you've experienced with potential employers?
Employers would always want the best from the employees. Yeah, they want employees with multitasking skills. So here is the question: if, let's say, I am the employer, I employ a blind officer to work for me, can he drive me to go here and there? He can't. But is it fair for me to judge not to employ him because he's blind, he cannot drive? Yeah. Or if I employ somebody on wheelchair, is it fair for me to say, well, no, I need to invest some money to install a ramp, to renovate my toilet, make it wheelchair accessible,
right,
and so on and so forth. If I employ a deaf and dumb employee, I have to also employ bahasa isyarat, sign language interpreter, or I myself have to learn, and I must make all other stuff to learn.
So it's viewed as extra or
extra burden,
cumbersome,
or extra responsibilities. So let's put it this way. Now, this is my honest idea, my frank idea. We have to create a job or a system that is workable for the disabled employees. For example, if you have a telemarketing or call center,
right,
or contact center, the blind is so good in talking over the phone.
Definitely.
And why must you expect a blind person to drive, for example, when he is the contact center agent?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying, yeah?
Finding appropriate jobs.
That work best with their strength.
And their skills and talent.
Okay, let's say a wheelchair user who may not be able to move around freely, but he or she can be a good multimedia person. He can be good at drawing on the computers. Why must you expect him to also go to the field and cut the grass?
That's right.
So let's get the right job that works for the right group of people.
And speaking about jobs and what the future holds for all of us, in fact, when we talk about technology and AI, we'll be coming back to ask you a little bit about that. We take a quick breather now, and don't go anywhere. You're watching The Nation right here on BERNAMA TV.
Yeah.
Welcome back. You're watching BERNAMA World, and I am seated with Mr. SILATUL RAHIM DAHMAN, the Regional President of the International Council for Education of People with Visual Impairment for East Asia. That is a long title, I must say, but congratulations on assuming the role about a year ago. Well, we've been talking a little bit about International Day of Persons with Disabilities, and that is observed on December 3rd. This year's international theme is Fostering Disability Inclusive Societies for Advancing Social Progress. And the theme here in Malaysia is Inclusive PWD Society, Key to Social Progress. So the two common elements here is progress and inclusiveness. Just before the break, we spoke a little bit about employment for PWDs and sometimes some discrimination or some preferences. But with technology now and innovation really spearheading the way people are employed and how everyone can truly use that as a tool to build on new skills, do you think that has changed the landscape for inclusion, especially, for example, for the visually impaired?
Sure, that is what we call the empowering tools, yeah, the tools that empower people with visual impairment, and I guess many other PWDs, yeah, to function much more better as compared to we live without the assistive. We call it assistive technology. It's technology that assists us to perform. For example, if you take away my talking computer, my talking handphone, I will be double disabled. Yeah, this is where we have to equip the education system, the employment system, yeah, the whole ecosystem. I was saying earlier on, yeah, by equipping with the right tools and technology. When the blind person is given the right tool, he or she can just function just like any other person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I'm emailing to you, I'm sending messages from WhatsApp application to you, for example, using text or using voice. You wouldn't know that the person on the other side is blind or on wheelchair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think why I see more blind people performing well today. I think 50% of the contributing factor is the usage of the assistive technology. Yeah. If we were to rely on manual or conventional tools, then we may not be able to go that far. Yeah. I can, not only me, but many other blind people can perform the online transaction on their own by now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They can order any services from Grab, for example, Grab Food or Grab Car, yeah, or any other healing services just by doing on their own. Right. When we used to rely on someone even to write a love letter for us, yeah, in those days, yeah. So, but now we are free to, free to act and to perform anything that we like. Of course, there is a limit. Yeah, there is a limit. Can I drive on the road with technology? Maybe yes, one day. Yeah, but it's not yet available here. Though there have been so many news that there are so many driverless car, yeah, autopilot car. But I think one day we will see that here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we talk about what's available here, and I want to bring that into our conversation in terms of what's available in Malaysia. We talk about accessibility and progress, to be inclusive. Has the Malaysian system fallen short in any way? What are the gaps, and where do we really need to tighten so that we are inclusive as a society beyond slogans and themes?
Yeah. I see most of the gaps and failures are caused by the implementation team.
Okay.
Not so much on the rules and regulations and policies. Slogans are well outlined, and I think we have no complaint most of the time. But what we normally hear people are talking about, why is this not done? Why is this done not in the right way? Yeah? That means the implementation team that is not up to the mark. I do not know, or we do not know whose fault. But the key word here is, as you said, we have to be inclusive, because that is how we progress. Yeah. Now, I was reading an article yesterday. It is estimated about 40% of Malaysian citizens are people with disabilities and senior citizens. That's a huge number.
It is a huge number.
40%. Yeah. If we are talking about 35 million people live in Malaysia, so we can estimate about maybe 12,000 to 15,000, 10 to 15,000.
So what practical steps then can we take to ensure that there's equal access, not just for things like infrastructure and making it a little bit more accessible, but also in terms of education, what we spoke a little bit about for employment, career advancement and opportunities. Because when we say inclusive, it's not just meeting basic rights, it's helping PWDs flourish and be successful as well.
We have to really take universal design and accessible environment as a integral component in the development of our society and in the development of the whole country. We cannot be looking at providing accessible environment, services for the disabled and the senior citizen as a charity, charity-based kind of services. We have to look at it as one of the key elements that when we come up with the annual budget, we have to keep that in mind, that this is what has to be done. I know, and we all know, that the Belanjawan 2025 that was presented last year had allocated a big amount of allocation for OKU, such as to build a special school for the disabled, including the citizen with autism. That is why I was saying the policy is good, the allocation is also good, but has it been well implemented? Is there a connectivity from one segment of the society to another segment of the society?
It is, of course, the day that we observe World Persons with Disabilities Day. What is this year's campaign like? What are some activities surrounding this day, and how can truly our viewer watching, how can we change their mindset? How can we include them as well into this campaign?
Good question. I think at the federal level, the ministry is having a program in Putrajaya today, and tonight as well. I'll be attending that dinner as well, which is good. At least we recognize the existence of the PWDs in this country. Not only recognize, but also we acknowledge they exist. Why I say that? Because there are members of our community that refuse to accept us as it is. I moved to a new house a few years ago.
Congrats.
Many years ago, before the MCO and all that. So the first neighbor that I met, was talking to me, and so finally he said, "Well, I don't mind. We don't mind having you living in our community." I was thinking, it's not your business to be mindful about about me living here. It is my right. It is my house. So the way he put it, as though, well, there are people who would be mindful to have a disabled neighbor. That means the level of inclusiveness is still very, very low. And yesterday, just another incident happened yesterday. I had my staff from Penang branch came over to my office yesterday. She was on a wheelchair because she's a single leg. How do I say that? I also don't know the right terminology. Satu kaki lah, another foot was removed. So as we were talking, then when we were about to leave the office, we start looking for our shoes, then somebody found just one shoe. Instead of one pair of shoes, just one side of the shoe there. So we were looking, whose shoe is this? Only one side. We couldn't find the other side of the shoe.
Right.
At the end of the day, she said, well, that's my shoe. Then we asked, where's the other one? No, I never have two shoes. I don't have a pair of shoes because I only have one feet. So it sends me a very strong signal, you know.
Right.
Give me a very strong message that in this world, there are people who move around with only one shoe instead of one pair of shoes. I mean, something that we never thought, that people move around with one pair of one side of the.
We just assume
we
and
assume
take
that
for
everybody
granted.
wear
Yeah.
a pair of shoes. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I ask, when you buy, do they charge you for a pair of shoes or only one side? Of course, they charge you both.
That's right. Well,
left and right.
I need to thank you very much for coming in here today and you know, being light-hearted about such an important topic, but at the same time highlighting as well the priorities that us as a country and as a society needs to put forward. Well, that brings us to the end of our discussion today on building a more inclusive society where dignity, access and opportunity truly matters for everyone. And to all our viewers, we do wish you a meaningful and happy World Persons with Disabilities Day. Don't forget to visit BERNAMA.com and follow us for our social media accounts for the latest updates and news. You could also get updates if you tune into BERNAMA Radio. That's at 93.9 FM. Well, this has been The World on BERNAMA TV. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.